Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another live. Hope you're doing well. And we'll wait for a few folks to come on so we can say hello. And let's see, who's going to be number one this morning on our daily hit parade? Andrea, Niagara Falls, number one. Kevin, number two. Francis Marie, good morning. Jen, Cape Breton, and Rosalinda, Niagara Falls. Nativity, good morning. Nick from our staff. And Stephanie, how is ya? Linda, oh, I love those Lindas. Adeline, good morning. Deb from Timmins. Lorraine, British Columbia, bright and early. Francis, good morning from Vaughan. Carrie, Nebraska. Sandy, Chilliwack, British Columbia. Suzanne, how are you? Jane. And Dave, Muskoka. Maryland. Kelowna. Boy, you guys are up bright and early this morning. Mike from Norland. Carol, West Virginia. Mary, Diney, Alberta, and Debraka from Mississauga. And oh man, I mess this up all the time. Kadijatu, Barbara, Cecilia from Sudbury. Never heard of it. Where is that? Shirley, Annette, Vera, Newfoundland. Sue, good morning. And Georgie, Halifax, Nova Scotia. Cleveland, good morning. Yolande, bonjour. Suzanne, good morning. Larry and Dave and Helga from Scarborough. Laurie, Niagara Falls. Jeanette from our staff. Rachel, couple more. Judy, Chile, Dopetown, New Brunswick. Diane, Thunder Bay. Barbara, Marina, and Bruno, North Bay. Luella, West Tennessee. And Jan from Texas. Karen, Coldwater. Oh, it would be cold this morning, wouldn't it? Etta, Jordanos, how are you? Shirley from Kapuskasing, where Santa Claus lives. Lori from Ventura, California. Diane, hello. Marla from Indiana. Rose. Carol, Moncton, New Brunswick. Joe, good morning. Good to have you on. Carol, Newfoundland. And Robin from Connecticut. And Sandra from Brampton. Here we go. Let's talk this morning, guys, about brain fog, okay? I think I'm losing my mind, okay? When brain fog isn't Alzheimer's, okay? And let me just, it's so common because people tell me on a daily basis they suffer from brain fog, okay? And let me just give you a little bit of a definition that, just some of the things that we'll talk about causes and what you can do, but let me just give you a little bit of definition. Some of the symptoms of having brain fog, okay? Low mood, maybe mild depression, apathy, mental sluggishness, problems with focus, difficulty remembering, processing. Sometimes I see in my head, I see my fingers doing this, looking for the file. Because I'm not processing as fast as I usually process, okay? That can be brain fog, okay? Problem with reduced ability to apply logic or problem solve. challenges with word selection, okay? Just challenging, and poor sleep. Poor sleep. Now, let's talk about lifestyle issues. I've written down 9 or 10 of them. What could cause brain fog? Okay? Now, the number one thing, I actually wrote a book about this years ago when I wrote a book about chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. One of the common symptoms of chronic fatigue was brain fog. Like some people put it in this term, they almost like they had cotton in their brain. And you got to remember now, this is the late 80s that I'm talking about this, okay? Brain fog. And it's not like there was never any brain fog around before that, but it now became like an epidemic. And if you remember back in the late 80s, early 90s, this was like a phenomenon, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia. Nobody had ever heard of it before. But then millions of people, especially women, would come down with it. Not that men couldn't get it, of course they could. But it was rare in men compared to women. It was about 90-10. Sometimes in my practice, it was 95-5. And I'm always a why guy. Okay, why was this happening? Okay, they even called it the yuppie flu back then, the yuppie flu. And it wasn't the flu. It was adrenal gland exhaustion. It was really due to stress. Now, stress can come in different ways. Okay? Stress can come, you know, you might be, that's cortisol, but your body, you know, even environmental factors, dietary factors can cause stress. A lack of sleep. You know, it's a vicious cycle. High cortisol, you don't sleep. You don't sleep, your cortisol goes up. What a vicious cycle to get into. But anyway, that was chronic fatigue. And that's the first time that I think I ever wrote about brain fog being, it was cognitive. And so, you know, in fibromyalgia, and by the way, okay, and, you know, for those of you joining us on our daily Facebooks, or on live, or on our podcast, you know, chronic fatigue syndrome, like I said, we don't hear about it so much, but fibromyalgia, I've always said this, am I right? Yep. Was a symptom of chronic fatigue. Rarely anybody, like fibromyalgia, like a pain, that pain medication or whatever, could hardly touch. But I always said that was a symptom of chronic fatigue syndrome. It wasn't separated from chronic fatigue. They were of the same package, and fibromyalgia just happened to be one of the symptoms of chronic fatigue syndrome. I think I was the first guy to say that. And, you know, really research has borne that out. Like at that time, people were going to see rheumatologists with fibromyalgia, and when they couldn't find anything in the blood work or whatever, I'm talking about 30 years ago, folks, okay, or more, then rheumatologists would say, well, you have fibromyalgia. And they had trigger points and certain touch points that they used for a diagnosis. But I always said it was part of chronic fatigue syndrome. And they had 4 major signs. One of them was fibromyalgia. The other was sleep, exhaustion, okay, energy. And The fourth one was brain fog. So those were the four main symptoms: fibromyalgia pain, brain fog, sleep disturbances, and exhaustion. Tired of being tired. And I wrote a book about it, Chronic Fatigue Syndrome, The Modern Woman's Curse. Imagine, over 30 years ago. Okay? Now, so I have been talking about brain fog for a long time. And I want to look at some possible causes, okay, that would give you brain fog. So let's talk about lifestyle issues like chronic stress and poor sleep, a sedentary lifestyle. You know, today people, we live in a different world, don't we? Like, think about it. And we live in a world where, you know, most people are sitting most of the day. You know, they stand-up jobs, not that people don't have them. Of course they do. But it's not like it used to be. A lot of our jobs are sitting. And it's sedentary. And that can be a huge factor. Okay? It's just our lifestyle. One of the things, and I write this down, and people don't talk about this very much when it comes to brain fog, but your brain don't work properly without water. And I talk about dehydration. It's a big issue. Don't we wish we had a light on top of our head that would say, just add water. Add water, you're getting low. You know, our radiators in our brain are getting low. We don't have enough water, and that's a big issue. My friend, let me tell you something. You need 2 liters of water every day, and for my American friends, that's 64 ounces of water. That is your minimum. No exceptions, in my opinion. I tested people's dehydration every day for years and years and years and years, and that was the sweet spot when it came to water. You need 64 ounces or 2 liters of water. If you sweat, you need more. Okay? And remember, dehydration, that can be a big issue in brain fog. People just don't, especially if they're on meds. Especially if they have a bad diet. They get dehydrated. And I talk about salt a lot. Okay? Your blood is salty. Your tears are salty. Your mucus is salty. Salty. Water and salt. But, you know, they blame salt for what sugar does. And for people that are that have a bad diet, that's number 2, poor diet, junk. Man, people live on junk today. Much more than before. It's unreal how much sugar North Americans consume. I mean, it's 200 pounds a year, just about. If you added the crappy carbs that turn to sugar rapidly, plus are made up of the bad oils, man, oh man, it's amazing that our bodies can even take even a bit of that stuff. It's abuse. And people live on that. And they wonder why they got brain fog. Poor diet, sugar. And when I say poor diet, I mean too the nutrient-free diet. Okay? I mean that. People have this misconceived idea that the plant kingdom is ahead of the animal kingdom when it comes to nutrients. It's completely false. Your brain, in order to function properly, needs animal protein, animal fat, fathead. It needs animal nutrition. Okay? You need that from the animal kingdom. Don't rely on the plant kingdom to give you that. You don't get the nutrient-dense foods from the plant kingdom. Poor diet, alcohol, brain fog. Be careful. Alcohol creates inflammation in the brain. So be careful with it. Vitamin deficiencies. Here's what I used to see all the time in my office, okay? Because I measure this stuff. Numero uno, low in vitamin D. Your brain doesn't work properly. You should see, we'll probably do this tomorrow, a new study on cognitive and vitamin D. Okay? The results are in. Your brain is a solar panel. It needs vitamin D. Vitamin D is essential for the brain. What did I see in deficiencies? Almost invariably, vitamin D deficiency, not proper levels of vitamin D, not proper levels of B12. People walk around in North America with B12 enough for mice. Oh, Dr. Martin, my doctor says it's normal. I'm sorry, your brain needs B12 to be what? Optimized. Not normal. Normal is for mice. You got B12 in the 200s and the 300s and the 400s and the, oh, Dr. Martin, my doctor says my vitamin B12 is high. It's at 6 something. It's still not good. You're not at the level your brain needs. I mean, we are so far behind when it comes to vitamin D, so far behind what we should be at. If anything we should have learned through the virus, and now, like, guys, it's, you know, if it isn't COVID, it's going to be the flu, and it's going to be, you know, any number of viruses. They're not going away. But we don't talk about the importance of vitamin D for the immune system, but also for the function of the brain. We should have learned that vitamin D is essential, not only for your immune system, but for your brain to work. So B12, vitamin D. Okay? You know me. If I could get into every senior home, what would I do? I'd bring me a little kit. Here, let's get your vitamin D levels up. Every day, you're going to take this vitamin D. Big time. Okay? And B12. And they're so reticent today. Like, I can't get over it. You almost have to drill a doctor's teeth without anesthetic for them to give out B12, to give the old-fashioned B12 shot. Now, just by the way, taking B12 every day is better for you than taking a B12 shot once a week or once a month. I'm not against that. I'm just telling you, the research is conclusive. You want to optimize your B12. Your brain don't work without B12. Omega-3 deficiency. What is your brain made up of? What is it made up of? What kind of fat? You guys know this. What kind of fat is your brain made up of? I'm waiting. You know I like to test you. Because you guys are smart. That's why I like to test you. What kind of fat is your brain up? There it is. There's Brahim. Yep. Dave, you guys, I'm telling you. Renee, yeah, saturated, because DHA is saturated. Omega-3, but it's DHA, guys, specifically. That long-chain fatty acid. Nellie, you got it right. Jen, you got it right. Ann, you got it right. Annette, you got it right. You guys, I'm telling you, you guys are unreal. Carol, you got it right. It's DHA. Your brain's made. How can DHA be bad for you when your brain is made up of that type of fat? Fathead. It's a compliment. Have you ever seen an Alzheimer's? You can probably Google it or go on YouTube and say, show me what an Alzheimer's brain looked like. It shrinks like a prune. You want your brain to be fat with good fat. Inflammation from those omega-6 lubricants, those vegetables, so-called canola and safflower and grapeseed and all those oils are bad for you because they create inflammation in the brain. They shrink the brain. And then you add insulin, that'll shrink your brain. Insulin resistance. So guys, what do we see deficiency? Vitamin D, B12, omega-3, magnesium, oftentimes. K2. People don't eat K2. Vitamin K2 is found in the animal kingdom when you eat butter and cheese, especially steak. K2. That's why I'm so big on that, guys. You guys think I just do that for fun and to tease people and get people upset. No. Well, that's part of it. I like to tease, but I mean it. Nutrients. Okay, even the iron deficiency. You know, I love, if you'll never have a deficiency in iron if you eat steak. Because that is the best iron in the world. It's called heme iron. H-E-M-E. It's the absorbable iron. It's what your body needs. It's what your body craves. You won't get too high of iron by eating steak. Okay? So okay. So poor diet, alcohol, vitamin deficiency, dehydration, chronic stress, gut microbiome, brain fog, the gut-brain connection. The gut-brain connection. You guys know that. That gut. You got more hormones in the gut than you got in the brain. Your gut microbiome. This is one of the big issues today. One of the big issues is that microbiome. Your gut bacteria. The invisible war. What you don't see with your naked eye. Doesn't mean it's not there. Of course it's there. And the more we study bacteria, the more we study that war, the more we understand what goes on in the gut has a major implication on how your brain works. My friend, I'm going to tell you something. Okay? And this is one of my pet peeves. Okay? It's one of my pet peeves. What doctors don't realize, when they give medications, okay? We're talking about brain fog now. Okay, and I'm not telling you not to take your meds, okay? Please don't misunderstand me. I'm just telling you they don't look down the road what that does to your ecosystem, your microbiome, okay? The armies. Good, bad, and ugly. Okay? The war. Good, you're good guys. Bad, you're bad guys. And then the invading army, the ugly, is fungus. It's a yeast. And you never have to worry about yeast if you got enough good guys. But when you take medications, almost every medication can disrupt the microbiome. I started 50 years ago talking about the gut, the microbiome, and we knew nothing compared to what we know today. But I always understood antibiotics save your life, but they disrupt your microbiome. I just don't understand the hesitancy of medicine to jump on board probiotics. When you take an antibiotic, if you don't take probiotics, you're in deep doo-doo. It's going to disrupt the gut. 5 days of an antibiotic, proven. 5 days will wipe out every friendly bacteria that you have, from your gut to your sinuses, to everywhere where you have mucus. It'll wipe it out. And that's why do you think I'm so big on probiotics? And again, the gut-brain connection, brain fog. Well, can I prove it to you? I'm just going to say one thing, and if you've heard this term before, you'll find out why. Think about it. What is chemo brain? What's chemo brain? Now that's a medical term, by the way. Oh, you got chemo brain. You got brain fog after chemotherapy. Why did you get brain fog after chemotherapy? It wiped out your friendly bacteria. And what happens in the gut ain't Vegas. It don't stay there. Leaky gut, leaky brain. Leaky gut, leaky brain. And then you get chemo brain. It is common. And I had a, you know, and God loved them, okay? Like an oncologist said, but you know, oh, would you please give or recommend probiotics when you're giving chemotherapy? Well, we don't want any medication. You don't want to take no supplement. You don't want to take anything while you're taking chemo. It might interfere with the chemo. Chemo, not going to interfere with it. It'll actually help with the side effects. It'll actually help. But boy, it's hard to change a leper's spots, isn't it? Man, oh man, I've been screaming that for years. Please take probiotics. Your microbiome. How important that is. Cognitive. And that's why even kids, when they get ADD and ADHD, I'm telling you, it's their microbiome. They got too many bad guys, not enough good guys. They're losing the war. I can't see that war, Doc. Okay, I know, but it doesn't mean it's not there. Of course it's there. The more they study it, the more they realize it. Okay? So when you're on medications, any medication just about will disrupt the microbiome, can give you brain fog down the road. high blood pressure meds, anxiety meds, depression meds, antacids, digestive meds, you name them, meds. Okay? One of the big ones is what statin drugs do. Okay? Cholesterol lowering medication. Boy, that's hard. That is people on brain fog that get brain fog big time. Their brain don't operate properly. Well, no wonder. No wonder. It disrupts. Look, I'm not telling, please don't come at me and say Dr. Martin says to get off on medication. I'm not telling you that. I'm not telling you that. You just have to be aware of the side effects. Side effects of it, okay? Hormonal imbalances. Hormonal. Men, your brain needs testosterone. Ladies, your brain needs a balance between estrogen and progesterone. And folks, there are only two sexes, okay? Ooh, don't get me going. No, but seriously, we're different. We're made different. Not only our anatomy, our physiology is different. Ladies, you need balance. Men, you need T. Your brain don't operate without T, testosterone. Your brain's different. You're wired differently. Ladies, you're complicated. Has no one ever told you that? You're beautiful, but you're complicated. Seriously. Okay? Hormonal. Sluggish thyroid is going to give you brain fog. When that thyroid, remember what your thyroid is, okay? It's the gas pedal. It's your metabolism. Now remember, your thyroid never acts independently. It is a puppet on many strings attached. Okay? But when that thyroid slows down, brain fog is one of the common side effects of that. And ladies, again, estrogen, progesterone has a major effect on the thyroid. So does cortisol. Cortisol robs your progesterone. The more cortisol you make, the more it needs progesterone to make it. It robs. What happens then? Estrogen becomes dominant. When estrogen becomes dominant, it slows the thyroid to a crawl. Not only for weight gain, okay? Not only for weight gain, but for brain fog. For brain fog. Okay. So, what do we do? What do we do? Clean up the diet. Make sure your microbiome is good. Make sure you're not deficient in those things that we talked about, vitamin D and B12, and omega-3. Make sure magnesium, they're really important for the brain and to fight brain fog. Clean up the diet, exercise. I love vitamin E. It really helps for especially those of us with a sedentary lifestyle. Really important to move. Walking is good, guys. Weightlifting is better. Get strong. Strong muscles, strong brain. Okay? Strong brain. Okay. Okay. Did you have fun? Okay, guys. We got a great week coming up. Okay? Now, little heads up. Tomorrow we're going to do an afternoon session. Okay? Tomorrow afternoon. Okay? So I'll remind my staff and that we're doing an afternoon session tomorrow. Thursday off this week. Friday, question and answer Friday, but Thursday off. Traveling. Okay. Now, okay. What do we do Fridays? We do question and answer Friday. Okay? Somebody reminded me the other day, Dr. Martin, you've been on for 45 minutes. I know, but I wanted to get to all the questions. And I usually get into some rants. I can't help myself. Okay, guys, we love you. Somebody said they're going to turn those lights on in the back. Is that what you guys want? I don't know if that would be a destruction of my little Christmas tree. Okay, we'll try it with the lights on. Guys, we love you guys. We'll talk to you soon.